Okay, so in this hands-on exercise we're going to perform fingerprinting of operating systems. So this is the part of the scan where we get to look into a host and try to determine which operating system is running on that certain host. So suppose we've got multiple connected computers in a network, and you want to be able to determine what operating system is running on a certain computer. So now for these examples that I'm going to go through, I'm going to be scanning my own computer, of course. So I'm going to be using the loopback address, which is just 127.0.0.1. If you do it from your end with that same address, you're going to be scanning your own computer just like I'm scanning my own. I can also use the name localhost as well. So to do this, you're going to use Nmap, which stands for the network mapper. So now if you're doing this from a Linux operating system, you can install this using the command sudo apt install nmap, and then you hit enter, and then it should be able to install from there. Now because I'm using Kali Linux, it comes with Kali Linux, I do not need to install this. Now if you are using Windows, you're gonna have to install it from insecure.org. I'm going to be sure to put in the link into the description of this lesson in the course, and then you should be able to download it and install it. Now to run this scan, you use the command nmap in your terminal, nmap, then you can start putting in the switches. Now to perform an operating system scan, I'm going to use the switch O. Now in case you are confused with which switches to use, you can just type in nmap and it will show you a list of all the switches that you can use. Alright, so now firstly you can select the type of scan that you would like to use. So to perform a SYN scan, which is this one. Now SYN scan is one which is kind of quiet, not too aggressive, does not display too many things, and so on and so forth. So for this one we can use that switch. Okay, so that is dash small s and a capital S. So we're going to say nmap and perform a SYN scan, and then once we're done, we also want to perform a operating system fingerprint scan, meaning this is a host detection. So you're going to put in the switch tag O. Alright, and then you can put in the target address that you would like to scan. Now in this case I'm going to scan my loopback address. I'm just going to say localhost, and then you hit enter. Now of course it needs root privileges because I'm using Linux, so I'm gonna have to say sudo. Now if you're doing this on Windows, you may not need to say you do not need to use sudo, but if you're doing it from a Linux machine, then you might need to say sudo because you do not have root privileges. Then you hit enter and then type in the address of the user that is currently logged in, and then we wait. Now the scan has been complete, so this is the results that we received. Now of course it gives us the time that it took to perform the scan, and then we have ports that are currently in use. Port 22 is open for SSH, meaning that there's an SSH service running, meaning that if possible I can actually connect to this machine using SSH. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. See, and then nashed localhost password, then I can connect. Now this only works because, well, the current machine I'm connected to has SSH enabled, so actually I am kind of connected. I know it seems weird, but I am having SSH connection right now. So I've got terminal access, so it's fully connected, but nonetheless so I've disconnected from the host that I was connected to using SSH. See, now of course it wouldn't say nash at 7 nash, but because I'm connected to myself, it remains the same way. Alright, so we've got a SSH service running on port 22, and then we've got a UPnP session running on port 5000. Now of course this one is more of a redundant port. We usually don't we are usually not able to access the port. But this is the part we're interested in. It is able to determine that I am using Linux. I'm using Linux 2.6.x. Now x just means that any number can go in there, but if you are to specify, it does use Linux 2.6.32, and then the network distance is 0 hops, meaning it is not that far, it's just, well, basically where I am. So that's how you perform host detection using the network mapper. Now if Nmap might be a little bit complicated to use with all the network switches and stuff. It does have a graphical user interface called Nmap. Now Nmap of course does not come with Linux. You also have to add it on, and if you do install Nmap, it does not automatically give you access to Nmap. You also have to install it again because it's a third-party application after all. Alright, now yes, Nmap is also available for Windows users to use as well. So while we wait for that to run, perform a clear there. If you are using Nmap and you perform the scan, you can also output your scan to a certain file. Let's say I want to save the results to a file called hey.txt. Okay, so once it's like this, then I hit enter, and then it should be able to save it there. And now we've got Nmap, which is open right here. Now the interface is quite easy. You put in the target, you put in the type of scan. Now there's a whole list of them, whether you want the regular or TCP port scans and so on and so forth. And then once you're done, it will be able to show you the services that it's able to find you there. The host details, this is where it's going to give you the output of the operating system that is running, the uptime and so on and so forth. Now that is how you perform simple operating system fingerprinting with Nmap.